Hi, and welcome to another week's Tips for AI Trailblazers. I'm Kathleen Perley, your host and founder of Demystify. This week, we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into Chat GPT-4o with Canvas. So let's go ahead and dive in. So I just kind of want to show a few things that I've uncovered after I've been experimenting with this tool. So when you log into your ChatGPT, make sure that you have Canvas enabled. So this will be in the dropdown. It's very simple. And what we're going to do is please develop a sales sheet based on the attachment. Keep it pretty simple. I'll upload it's a fake company that I created for my students. I think I have to call it Smith Solar, I think is obviously I used something very generic for it, but it was a Smith Solar company. So this is a sales rep training document. So I'm going to upload this and have it help us create a one-sheeter based on the information that was found in that document, just as a jumping off point. You'll see it starts to divide the content, which is great. Giving you lots of information here, even giving you some different formats. One of the things I've uncovered is you can actually modify the width of your split screen, which is kind of fun, depending on what you're doing there. The other thing I have identified is really trying to kind of customize within this document. So unlike Anthropic's artifacts, which you still have to interact with the AI to make changes, this allows you to do it really seamlessly. So you could say many payment options, if that's what I wanted to write instead. And the model will start to learn some of my changes and preferences, which is really great. One thing that you can also do is you can translate, which I really like. So translate to Spanish, and it will actually translate the document into Spanish, and it'll kind of do the whole document for you. So you can have this in multiple documents. The other great thing about Canvas is you can actually modify this so that you can understand whether or not your translations are working as well. You can do this within the document, or you can use this sidebar here. So translate this into English. I'll turn it back into English. This will kind of render. And you still have those wonderful features on the sidebar. This will take a few seconds to translate back into English. But you can see here that it's maintaining everything. A couple of the things I found really helpful that I really enjoyed is reading level or adding a final polish. So selecting something, going to final polish, and having it kind of re-look at the whole document and add another kind of set of eyes. I typically do this when I have written something on my own and just want kind of another perspective on how to polish some of the documents. I actually really find it effective for changing the reading level. So if we identify that the Smith Solar sales company, the reading levels really should be more at a middle school level, we can modify that with just a simple click, which is really nice. So you can see here, it kind of simplifies some of the language within the context here, provides a little bit more detail. One other thing just to note is that you can go back to a previous version. Once you see that previous version, like let's say we didn't want to go to middle school reading level, you can do restore this version, and you can actually go back to older versions. You could copy this, paste it into a Word doc. But I would strongly recommend, like if I wanted to say our offerings, making as many of the edits as you can in this platform. I talked earlier about why I think OpenAI is making a play for more of an enterprise productivity platform, and this is why, is because of that some of functionality. It's really only a couple steps away from really being kind of like a Google Docs or a Microsoft Word. You have the ability to do some modification, explain the technical elements further. So if I wanted to talk about the different panels, and the nice thing is, oh, we have a network error. This always tends to happen every time I do a recording. But you can see this, it gives you some of that information. You then can copy and paste and apply that in, or you can ask it to. We'll see if we can regenerate, and it actually we'll bring this in a little bit more. So we'll add some more explanation here across all of them, which is kind of nice. And so you have that functionality. So this is just a few more of the features on the writing side or the content creation side as it pertains to GPT 4o with Canvas. I now want to talk a little bit about some exciting things that are happening from a dev space and talk about the coding functionality a bit further under ChatGPT 4o with Canvas. So some major news that came out on Friday around 5 p.m. is Swarm. So we've been hearing all this buzz around AI agents. This is a framework. So this is not a product by OpenAI, but it is a framework that was built by OpenAI developers. And really what it is an orchestrating kind of agents and how they do different types of handoffs. So for example, you'd have one agent that is more of a triage agent. And then that agent, depending on kind of a chat or an interaction, will then kind of pull in different agents. So maybe one for refunds, one for travel, one for coordinating schedules, things of that nature. So pulling in just like you would a team of people, but really how to kind of build this in an ergonomic or a very efficient manner. This is not anything necessarily new, but I do think this does a really great job of creating a clean, easy to understand from a non-developer or non-engineer perspective on how you do it. So you identify the agent, you kind of give them different types of responses, give them an idea of what their scope is, and then tell them some instructions to follow like you would a custom GPT. So this is kind of this is in GitHub, so this is available, it's free, the documentation's great. It kind of gives you a little bit of an example. So if you were to ask a triage assistant, what does the weather in New York look like? It will transfer to a weather assistant because it'll understand that. And then a weather assistant will come in, get the weather, and then translate that back out to the kind of like human or the customer in this instance, which is really kind of interesting. So this is specifically run for OpenAI API calls. However, I have heard from some of my engineering friends that you can hack this to work with other models like Llama, but it does work best and doesn't have it doesn't have any like issues if you keep it within the OpenAI API. So this gives you an idea of all the different arguments that you can use in terms of tools that they need to access or enable, different types of pieces of that. So you'll get an idea. You have like, obviously for the agent, you end up having the name of the agent, the models that the agent's going to be using. So you can specify if they want it to use the 4o mini model or the 4o model, which is great. But I'm going to show you how to use this as a jumping off point for Canvas. So let's start a new chat. So let's go back to a new chat. And I'm going to pull over so you don't have to see me type. Basically asking for a Python script that allow me to do kind of a multi-agent hive, if you will, that will look at my calendar, my Gmail, and provide updates. It'll help me do productivity in terms of what do I have from a to-do perspective, and then actually block and schedule everything for me. So what I did was I kind of gave it some instructions, as you can see here. And then I actually I copied and pasted the kind of like example framework from GitHub. And it's actually coding this for me in Python. So it is kind of helping modify all of that. The other nice thing is if you're not used to coding, one thing that you can do is use, for example, add comments, which will help you understand each piece of it. So everything you have to deploy it. So let me do that. It did not deploy. So it's going to go in and add all of the commentary so you can understand what kind of all of the specifics are. So you can see it'll analyze the user's email. We have email agent, we have calendar agent, we have schedule agent, and then kind of give some examples of that. The other thing that you can do, so you have this kind of written out, but you can also say, I do want to integrate from an API perspective into my Gmail and calendar or GCal. And it will actually kind of modify the different kind of requests. This obviously will require me to do provide credentials and tokens. So I have to provide like a credentials package, probably in a tokens package for this to deploy it. And then you can even ask questions. How would I deploy this? So you'll see it'll kind of give me some instructions on needing, like I mentioned earlier, we'll need a credentials file, a token file to authorize this. You then can copy this code to kind of get the authorizations. It gives you like a really simple ways to implement this. We can even then ask how to deploy on a cloud platform. I typically use, obviously there's Google Cloud Run, which is great. I actually use Replit servers a lot of times just because it's easier. It is even providing a recommendation on something here, which is kind of interesting. So this is kind of how these AI agents work, but more importantly, kind of showing you a little bit further on how to utilize ChatGPT 4o with Canvas and how to use it to help you code, giving them a framework that you find in a GitHub repository. Join us next week because I will show you how to deploy these agents or these swarm of agents and developing and hopefully making me way more productive with my time and efficient. So stay tuned.